Today we're going to try something really crazy. 23.9, close enough. These are very close to true O scale. You don't want to try this with a modern transformer. So this is based off of a real B&O caboose from 1916 up to 1938. That is not helpful. Now it is truth or consequences time. Part of the circuit is running through this wire arm here. Very simple but effective animation for the layout. Hello again, this is Mike with Toy Train Tips and Tricks, and today we're going to take another look at Marx turnouts, and we are going to debunk one of the most common myths regarding these switches, and that is that Marx turnouts do not work with Lionel controllers. Well, you can see here that it can work, and so now that I've got your attention that you know it does work, let me show you how it is done and how this works with Marx turnouts. So this one I've taken apart. This was in my last video, and I said this was my guinea pig one. The rails were bent, so I used this one to play around with, to experiment with. And let's take a look at the wiring underneath. Now, in a Lionel turnout, the switch solenoids, the magnets that do the work of pulling the rod back and forth, are wired up through the internals of the switch to the track. So if you take this Marx turnout apart, you do see some wires, and they are attached to the track, but they are not in any way attached to the solenoid. These are simply jumpers from the center rail to the center rail to the center rail, just to make sure that there is good electrical continuity through the turnout for the train to pass. Also, just as an aside, as we have it here, this is a really ingenious thing with the Marx turnouts. This little nub right here and this little brass bracket, what this does is, actually there's another little nub right under here, as you're going to see in a moment. And as you turn the switch one way or the other, now it's on the other nub, power from the center rail goes through this brass pickup onto this nub, and it powers center rail power to the movable switches here, excuse me, to the movable track, so that you always have center rail power on this part. It's kind of ingenious. It's simple, like most Marx mechanisms. It's simple but effective, and it just works. So anyway, these wires they're attached to the track, but they don't affect the operation of the turnout whatsoever. So what that means is, unlike with Lionel switches, where it's very important that the ground goes somewhere and the hot goes somewhere, on Marx turnouts, you can wire it either way. Now, Marx wiring diagrams, and in fact, if you have an original Marx controller, there's an implication in the colors here. Red to turn it to turn, green for straight, and black implies that this is the common. So as you notice, to the transformer, it doesn't say either way. It doesn't say which transformer post to attach to, just so that you have two transformer posts. Because these are not attached to the track in either way, it doesn't matter which side is hot, which side is common, the way they wire this. Now, I'm going to tell you that it does make a difference if you're going to use Lionel controllers or some of the other cool special effects that you can do to make Marx turnouts more like Lionel turnouts. You want to wire them a specific way. So, again, going back to this turnout, let's see what wire does what. If you follow these down, we have one wire to this side of the solenoid, one wire to this side of the solenoid, and one to the middle that completes the circuit for either side. And again, as you magnetize this side, we pull it this way, we magnetize this side, pulls it this way, and then this completes the circuit. All right, so only one of these two outside wires is energized to move in a particular direction. Okay, so if you follow the wires underneath, and I've done it for you here, this is the post connected to this side of the solenoid to move the turnout to straight, green. This, on the outside, is to this side of the solenoid to turn it to curve, and this one is the one that goes in the middle. So for our purposes, the way we're going to wire this is our common, this is our hot. This is our hot. This goes to accessory power. You can power Marx turnouts off of track power. I do not recommend it. Marx turnouts take significantly more voltage to throw properly than Lionels do. And honestly, if your train is going fast enough that you can throw these Marx turnouts at 14 to 16 volts, your train is flying. So you want this to go to transformer power, to a constant voltage accessory power. And this is hot. This is hot, and here's why. Okay, here's my test example, and I'll show you here. So again, I've got the center. This is red. This is hooked up to the hot side of my, well, you can't even see that in the frame. Okay, I've got a power pack over here. So this is wired to the hot side. This is not going to the switch controller whatsoever. Okay? Now, my switch controller, my Lionel switch controller, has 3 wires. The 2 outside wires are wired here and here. The center wire, its sole purpose is to take current from the center wire, runs in here, and then this selects which of these 2 outside wires is connecting the circuit. So in this case, what we want to do, and this is similar for Lionels as well, for Lionels, excuse me, for Lionels, this center would be common, and you would attach the common here, and this selects either or. In this case, my switch controller is not connected to this post. Instead, I've got it temporarily wired up here, but what it does is it finds, you even see it in the frame, yes. Okay, this is just temporary wiring for demonstration purposes, but I've got it hooked up to the black, the common going to my power pack. Okay, so you want a separate run of common from the center wire of the Lionel switch controller goes to your common bus wire or to the common side of your accessory power. This goes to common. Hot goes directly to the center of the switch. So this powers the center of the solenoid. This is your hot. The common is then picked up from your common bus, from your accessory power, goes through the Lionel controller, and then to either side, completing the circuit and making the turnout throw. That's how you make it work with Lionel turnouts. If you just hook up the 3 wires across here, it's not going to work. Matter of fact, you'll probably have a short circuit. No, you wouldn't have any circuit unless you wire up a second wire. If you just attach these 3 to it, because there's no power going into the switch from the track, it won't do anything. Doing it this way, Lionel works with Marx. Now, of course, you can still use the Marx controllers the same way. To the transformer, I'm not sure, actually, I've never taken one of these apart to know which one of these sides supplies the center power for the Marx push buttons. So I would try hit and miss because I don't know which is which. It's not marked, and I've never taken one of these apart. But by wiring it up this way, not only can I use Lionel switch controllers, but this also works with my regular push buttons that I use on my layout that work with the Lionel and K-line turnouts. So using this same wiring method, I can just plug in this turnout where a Lionel or a K-line is using the push buttons on my control panel, and it works the same way. You can also using this method, you can make a Marx turnout non-derailing. And the way you would do that is if you add a special insulated section with the outside rail insulated on either end, and I'll talk about those in another video, but You create your own insulated section and wire that to either this side or this side. As the train hits that insulated section, completes the circuit, it will fire common to this side or this side, complete the circuit, and throw your switch. And again, in a future video, I'll show you how to make those track sections and how to make it work, not only with Marx turnouts, but with others as well. It's internally wired on the Lionel 027 turnout. You can make it work on Marx. Okay, so that's basically it. Here's your wiring scheme again. Center post to accessory hot, constant voltage. At least 14 volts. I usually run it on 16. Outside wires to your corresponding red and green, straight or turn, whichever. On your Lionel controller, on your push buttons for your separate push buttons on your control panel, or to your Marx panel. And that's how you do it. So you can make Lionel controllers work with Marx turnouts. Another misconception, another myth thrown in the dustbin regarding Marx turnouts. I showed you last time how Marx turnouts do work with Lionel rollers as long as you make a few modifications. Matter of fact, I pulled this turnout out to make those modifications. You see this is as is. I was taking this out to do some servicing on it and get it ready for the layout. So here it is. So I hope you liked the video. Hope you found it informative. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, like it, subscribe it, and keep the trains running. And I hope this helps with Marx turnouts. One of those things out there that there's a lot of myths surrounding, and hopefully this cleared some of them up. Until then, keep the trains running, and we'll see you next time.